a distraction. A kind of success corollary to that is that today's intellectual quotient, IQ, is measured in focus. Now, the reality is we live in probably the most distracted era of human history. You take some great invention like the internet, and it turns out to be a double-edged sword. So like money, the internet is neutral. It can be used for good or bad, depending on who uses it and for what for. But a lot of people, because we lack the discipline, or we don't have our priorities straight, or we don't really know what we're looking for, end up misusing the value of the internet. So internet can actually be a time saver if you know what you're looking for and you know the tools to get you to that information, i.e. research, factoids, articles, pieces of information that serve your purposes. If you don't, or if you just use the internet as a way to fill time or kill time, it's a huge time waster. So it's up to you. If you're looking for success in your life, aside from occasions of downtime where you just want comic relief or a good cry over a rom-com, then make sure you're using the great resource of the internet and all the information it puts right at your fingertips in a smart and purposeful way. Now, what's happened, we've noticed in doing research and studies that show that attention spans, not only of children, but of adults, have shrunk in the last couple of decades. So much so that whoever does this kind of research says that goldfish now have a longer attention span than humans. Yeah, who gets paid to do that kind of stuff? Isn't it amazing? Got to find those jobs. Anyway, so this ability or lack of ability to focus, to concentrate, because of so many interruptions in life, because we have our attention distracted and disrupted and fragmented, leads to something that is superficial and fragmented in terms of our thinking, the opposite of what's referred to as deep work. And when you are devoid of the opportunity for deep work, and it's discussed in a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work, Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World. It's a distinction between deep or shallow work. You sort of rob yourself of the satisfaction of going deep on a subject, learning about something, sharing something more deeply with other people. But also, it leaves out the aspect that I might call thoughtfulness. And I don't mean just thoughtfulness, which is like being kind and thoughtful, but reflective, thinking through things, strategizing, grappling with information in a way that takes it to a different level for you, so that even if you're taking in the work of someone else who's written a book or a report or a podcast, a TV show, whatever it is you're listening to or looking at, you take it to another level because you're intertwining it with your own life experience. And when we can combine our experience with reflection, hopefully it leads to a bit of wisdom to go along with our gray hairs as we get a bit older. But the thing is, in order to do deep work, you really have to put time on the task. That requires investing time, but also time that's uninterrupted, unfragmented, undisrupted, to grapple with the thoughts, with the concepts, with the vocabulary, maybe even with logistics of how and when you're going to work and how and when you're going to access information, and then just be able to concentrate long enough to get anything substantive done. And as we say, focus being today's IQ skill, and people lacking the ability to focus and concentrate, it becomes a big problem. So just to quote this Cal Newport from his book, he says, "The ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the time it is becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. As a consequence, the few who cultivate this skill then make it the core of their working life will thrive. So that's what he has to say about that. Now then, moving on to one of the last few we're going to mention here of the success principles. Hard Truths You Should Know to Be Successful by Dr. Ben Hardy. Don't seek praise, seek criticism. Ooh, what does this mean? Okay, so as a culture, we've become so fragile that we must combine honest feedback with 20 compliments. So, you're told as a leader, if you're going to give somebody some feedback that isn't positive, you have to sandwich it between some nice things about them or what they're doing. So when we get feedback, we do our best to disprove it. We feel defensive and we try to disprove it. And psychologists call this confirmation bias. That's the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, even recall information that confirms our own beliefs while giving excessively less consideration to alternative possibilities, like the one that somebody just gave us when they criticized us. So it's easy to get praise when you ask family and friends who tell you what you want to hear, or frankly don't have the domain knowledge to give you appropriate feedback or criticism, critique on what it is you're talking about. So instead of seeking praise, your work will improve if you seek criticism. Now this is, as I said, counterintuitive, not easy necessarily to do. So you'll know if your work has merit when someone cares enough to give you an unsolicited critique. If something is noteworthy, there will be haters. Now, you've probably heard of Robin Sharma. He's the author of a book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. It's not the guy who wrote How to Think Like a Monk. That's Jay Shetty. He's newer on the scene. But this is Robin Sharma, the author of The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. He said, haters confirm greatness. When you really start showing up, the haters will be intimidated by you. Rather than being a reflection of what they could do, you become a reflection of what they are not doing. And it's interesting to think of that with ourselves being the one who's criticized, but have you yourself ever criticized anyone? And I know I have. I have someone who's in my field who I have a little bit of resentment about because he kind of snatched something away from me a couple of years ago that would have been mine to take, and he's gone on and become very successful and wealthy, and actually, more power to him, and I do wish him all success. But I did go through a stage of feeling resentful, like it was snatched from me. And as Robin Sharma said, rather than being a reflection of what I could do, it was a reflection of what I was not doing. And it was as much as this guy just focused on one particular area, whereas I'm kind of a generalist in terms of what I do. Just to wrap up then, the world gives to the givers and takes from the takers. From a scarcity perspective, helping other people hurts you because you no longer have what appears to be the advantage. This perspective sees the world as a giant pie, where every piece of the pie you have is a piece I don't have. So this is in order for me to, for you to win, I have to lose. Now, from an abundance perspective, there's not only one pie, but an infinite number of pies. If you want to make more money, that is, or opportunities, you make more. So helping others actually helps you because it makes the system as a whole better. It builds relationships and trust and confidence. So look for ways that you can give. Look for ways that you can be supportive of others, and be a giver who gives and not a taker who takes. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the success principles of Dr. Ben Hardy and just wish you a wonderful week. I know there's lots going on in the society around us that could knock us for a loop, but keep your equilibrium. Remember what success means to you, and continue to bring your friends and listen to the SOB Radio Network and Living Legacy Leadership each week. And do remember, as you go along day by day, the life you live is the legacy you leave. Bye-bye now.